Now it's audible? Audible? Okay. Okay, fine. So we have started our discussion with the classical theory. And for classical theory, I told you one thing which we must always keep in our mind. It doesn't matter whether it is classical theory or any other theory, we must keep this thing in our mind, that is diminishing rate of return. Diminishing rate of return, and that is basically marginal utility based. What is marginal utility? What is utility? I told you utility is amount of satisfaction. So as we start consuming, our satisfaction level increases. That is our total satisfaction. That is total utility. It increases when we start our consumption, right? If we start consuming, our total satisfaction level is going to increase. And as our total satisfaction level is going to increase, the per unit satisfaction, that is marginal utility, will starts decreasing. The per unit satisfaction is going to decrease, and when it is going to be zero, marginal utility is going to be zero, that is going to be the total satisfaction. I have given it the example of gulab jamun or whatever the favorite dish you have to eat. As number of unit you are going to consume, your total satisfaction will be increase. Fine, but each and every time you will increase your consumption, your marginal satisfaction means per unit satisfaction, it is going to decrease. And finally, when you will say no, that means what? That means you don't want to consume any unit further. Means what? It means now I'm completely satisfied. I have reached the level of total satisfaction. That means now there is no need for another unit. Means what? Now marginal satisfaction is zero. So that is why if the area is fixed, means in the short run, what happened? In the short run, capital, right? In the short run, capital and technology. Short run, and in the short run, capital and technology remain constant. It will be remain constant. So if this is your production unit and you are increasing labor, you are increasing labor, then what will happen? If you will increase labor, why you want to increase the labor? Because demand is rising. Demand is rising, that's why you are increasing your production. So your total productivity will increase, but at the same time marginal productivity marginal productivity will decrease, right? Marginal productivity will decrease. Fine. So if we will take it employment and output, employment and output, right? So if there is no labor is involved, then output is also zero, right? When you'll start increasing, this is our production unit, right? This is our production unit where we are doing the production. So initially production is what? Initially production is zero because no employee is being employed. So in order to increase our production, what we did, we have employed some people in our production unit. So our output will start increasing, right? Our output will start increasing. Fine. And gradually our total output is going to what? Total output is going to increase. Fine. Total output is going to increase. But at the same time, what will happen? At the same time, the marginal output or the marginal uh, income in terms of output and income, it will start decreasing. So initially it will increases like this, but gradually total output will be like this. Initially it will grow with this rate. Initially it will grow with this rate, right? This rate means with the increasing rate. Why? You are increasing the number of what? You are increasing the number of employees. So in the last class I told you what? In the last class I told you about real interest rate and employment, right? So as what happened, if the real interest rate increases, more and more number of people will interested to go for employment. So this curve is like this, right? Whereas the number of employees is going to increase, the efficiency of labor is going to marginal efficiency of labor, it is going to decrease. So this curve will be formed, right? This curve will be formed and it is going to be the equilibrium interest rate, right? So equilibrium interest rate. Why equilibrium interest rate is very important? If you will get this idea, then it is easier for you to understand why this curve is going to be steeper, why it is becoming steep. Earlier it was rising with very high rate. Later on, from here you can see that rather than going in this way, it started bending in this way. Why it is happening, I will explain you from this point, so it will be easier for you to understand why it is happening here. See, here marginal utility, you can see that the marginal utility of labor is started decreasing, whereas the employment is increasing with the increase in the interest rate. I hope you remember this thing. In the last class, I told you about this thing, that is labor curve, and it is marginal utility of labor, right? Marginal efficiency. Good evening, world. So I hope this you have remember. Marginal utility is what? Marginal utility, we have fixed area of what? Production, where we are increasing the number of labors. We are increasing the number of labors. So marginal efficiency will start decreasing. Whereas what? Whereas the people who seek employment, they will always come because interest rates are real interest rate. Sorry, I have mentioned real interest rate. It is real wage rate. I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. Real wage rate. Wages means what actually you are going to get after inflation. Even I told you also about normal wage rate and real wages. Normal and real. Normal means what? It inclusive of inflation, and it is exclusive of inflation. Right? So inclusive and exclusive. Inclusive means what? I explained you in the detailed way in the last class. I'm not going to explain it again. If you have any doubt, you can watch the last class. Nominal or normal wage rate is what? Nominal or normal, sometimes it is normal. So it is what? It is when you are getting, but you are not considering the inflation. Right? So if I am getting 100 rupees as a wage, so that is normal wage. But when we will see that what is the rate of inflation, so rate of inflation is 10%, so the real wage will be 90 rupees. It is be like that, because 10 rupees is going to be automatically their value, it is going to decrease because the inflation is increasing. So in this way it is the real wage rate, right? So we will find the real wage rate and nominal wage rate. So as the real wage rate are rising, each and everyone is seeking employment. Okay, each and everyone is seeking employment. But as you are going to increase the number of what? As you are going to increase the number of laborers, the marginal efficiency is going to what? Marginal efficiency is going to decrease. Right. Now the question is this point. This is the equilibrium. Equilibrium wage rate. So at equilibrium wage rate, it is very important. Why? Because at this interest rate, both producer and labor, producer and labor both are agreed. Both are agreed in terms of what? The producer, what wages he is giving. If he is giving that wages, he is definitely getting the profit, right? If beyond that, if the real wages rates are going to increase from this point, definitely producer is going to be in loss, right? Producer is going to be in a loss. Then what he will do? He will start doing the firing, means he will stop, means he is going to, first of all, he will not employ more people, or those who are employed, he will start discarding those people, right? Because it is going to be loss business for him. So he is not going to accept this thing, right? Whereas if the low wages will be there, then people are also not interested, and involuntary unemployment will increase. Involuntary employment, how it will increase? Involuntary employment will increase because, see, for example, most of you who are here, all of you are preparing for what? For SEBI exam, right? Many of them, they are preparing for the RBI exam, and many of the others, they are preparing for the government jobs, right? Why people are interested in the government job? The basic reason, the basic psychological reason is what? Job assurity. Job assurity. Job assurity. Why people are thinking about the job assurity? Because in India, if you will see the private sector private sector is rising. Private sector is rising, but private sector in India is not able to provide the job security. It is not able to provide the job security, and people want stable and secure career. You can apply the liquidity preference theory here also, specifically in the case of India. So people are preferring what? Even the low interest rate, means low income is coming in comparison to private sector. Still people are interested in what? Government job rather than private job. Why? It is because it is providing more stability in comparison to private job, right? So this is why more and more people are thinking about the government job in India. You can apply the Keynesian theory also. Okay, so now the point is, if the lower wages are going to be offered by the firm, lower wages are going to be offered by the firm, in that case, maybe many number of people are not going to be interested to get the job, and they will wait for what, when the wages will is going to increase, then I will seek the employment, right? So this is the construct of what, classical economist. What they are saying that ki if real wages is going to decrease, then what will happen? They are not saying that they are not saying that unemployment will increase. They are saying that voluntary unemployment will increase. Voluntary unemployment will increase. Why voluntary unemployment will increase? Because more and more number of people are not willing to do the work at lower wages. So that is why voluntary unemployment will increase. Fine. So why they are emphasizing on the voluntary unemployment? Because classical economists believe that ki economy always have 100% employmentability. Economy always have 100% employability, right? So 100% employability, when they are saying that 100% employability, they are not considering voluntary unemployment. See how clever they are. They are not considering those people who are voluntary unemployed. When they say that 100% employment, so people say that no, 100%, how can be 100% employment? So they said, okay, listen. 100% employment means what? We are not considering those people who are voluntary unemployed. Fine. So you are voluntary unemployed, then you are not being considered as a unemployed. Then what they are saying that on the basis of this theory, they are saying that if the wage rates are going to be low, some people maybe remain unemployed. Some people maybe remain unemployed, but they choose to be remain unemployed. Why? Because they feel that wages are low and it is going to increase. So they are waiting when the wages are going to increase, then they will be employed. So this is why economy is never going to be have a situation like there is a unemployment situation. There will be no unemployment situation. So if you will go by this theory, even you can say that India is also having a kind of 100% employment. Especially all of you are not going to be considered as an unemployed, right? So all of those people who are jobless, right? Those who are jobless, either because they choose to prepare for the government job, right? Either they choose to prepare the government job, so that is why they are remain unemployed. Others others who are unemployed because they feel that whatever the income is being offered to them, that is less, and they are searching for other jobs so that they can get the better income, right? So that is why they are unemployed. Okay, so if you will ask the unemployment situation in India, what classicals are going to explain? They are going to explain that in India there are two kind of the people who are unemployed. One who is seeking for the government job, and that is why they are unemployed. Number one. Number two, there are some people who are remain unemployed because they choose to remain unemployed because of low wages, and they will join the employment only when they will get the right remuneration, right? So they are not going to accept this thing कि India have an unemployment situation, right? They are not going to believe कि India have an unemployed situation. But one thing you always keep in your mind, whatever the models we have studied till then date in this SEBI special part, whatever we have studied, that is only for advanced economies. Advanced economies like US, UK, especially Western Europe, Western Europe, Japan. So most of these theories and principles are being defined for them, because if you will go back when these theories are being given in 19th century and first half of the second century, 21st century, means till the 1950s, all these theories were explained and given till the 1950s. And that point of time, Indian economy, or not only Indian economy, but most of the Asian, African, Asian African continent are being considered as what? Just a subject, or you can say the colony. So what is happening in the colonies? It was not a concern for leading economists. They are more concerned with what? The mothership. Mothership means what? The main economy who has established the colonies all over the world. So all these theories, maybe sometimes you feel that this theory is not 100% right, or it is not true in the our country's context. Yes, there will be large deviation what they said and what we are able to see in our economy, because there the factors are completely different. Their factors are completely different. For example, in United States of America, in the United States of America, most of the people are not interested in the government job. They're not interested. So that is why government feel what, okay, we will give you the job on contract basis. So they will get the government assignment on the contracts, right? So for 5 years you are working for what? US government. So on the contract basis you are working for the US government, because it's almost opposite. You are going to be paying less and you have to do lot of work. So people are not interested in the government contracts, they are more and more interested in the private contracts. But in India, most of the government jobs are on what? Most of the government jobs are on the permanent basis. Though in India also the contractual kind of work environment is also created. But most of the people are interested in what? Government job, because it is providing what? Security. If government is also going to say that we are going to hire for contract for 5 years, right? So the people who are filing the form for this job, drastically the number is going to be reduced. Just imagine if SEBI is going to say that we are going to hire officer for only 7 years, right? If they are going to say that we are hiring only for 7 years, after 7 years it may be extended. Then how many people are going to be interested in that job? How many people will be remain interested in that job if it is going to be only for 6 or 7 years? Most of the people will think that no, it's not appropriate, let's focus on that job where at least we will get the surety till then 60 years, right? So please share CA video also, Abhishek Singh. Which CA video? Okay, so this thing will happen. So whatever we are studying here, that is basically for the advanced economies, right? That is basically for advanced economies. So what will happen? The equilibrium interest rate, sorry, equilibrium wage rate. The equilibrium wage rate is going to be the optimum wage rate, right? So what I am explaining this point, this is the point where this is the equilibrium wage rate, right? This is the equilibrium wage rate. And when the equilibrium wage rate is going to be changed, then what will happen? If it is going to what? If it is going to decrease, equilibrium wage rate is going to decrease, then people are not interested, right? People are not interested to do the job. And if equilibrium wage rate is going to increase, then the situation will be for those people who means producer is not interested to hire more number of people. So in both scenario, the output growth is going to be decrease. It will be remain, it is going to increase, but the rate is going to be decrease after this point, because after this point equilibrium wage rate will not exist. Either it is going to up or it is going to down as per the situation in the market demand, right? So this is why employment, as the employment is going to increase, then this output is going to increase. Another reason why this is bending, another reason is what? Diminishing rate of return. Diminishing rate of return. Abhishek, I am taking the series where I am explaining right now some basic fundamentals, and in next few lectures, this current affairs part will also come, right? So it is not done at yet. I will do it, and see, I always prefer to do in the very systematic manner, right? Rather than jumping in the middle of the ocean without having an idea how to swim even in the pool, right? I do not have this way of doing the things. I always feel and believe कि do the things systematically, right? Lot of means almost all platforms are flooded with their just thumping of कि I have given you what, just thumping of I have given you the detail, means what is happening in this budget and economic survey. And I bet you, if you will go through those PDF and videos, within few days you are going to forget each and everything. Why? Because you don't know the basics. You are going to forget each and everything. Doesn't matter how many times you are going to read it, you are definitely going to forget it, and especially in the exam when there is a pressure situation will be there. So what I feel that ki rather than giving just a quick fix kind of the solution, give the permanent solution. First let them know, the students, ki these are the basics, and when the basic fundamentals will be clear in your mind, then when you will read those current related thing, automatically it will generate interest, because you are not able to just know, but you are able to understand, right? You are able to understand. For example, just giving an example, I don't know, still I don't means I don't know what fiscal deficit fiscal deficit target they have given in this year. I don't know. I don't know. I have to check it. But suppose that if they have given the fiscal deficit target of 6.8%, and everybody is going to tell you that fiscal deficit target 6%, 6.8%, you have to keep this thing in your mind, because they may be asked this thing in SEBI and RBI. Yes, true. This statement is true. That fiscal deficit target is one of the important data which may be asked in the exam. I agree. I agree. So that's why you must keep this data in your mind. But like this, there are many data. There are many data. How many data you are going to keep in your mind? So there is another way. You just keep one data in your mind, and from that data, you can guess. You can imagine what will be the fiscal deficit target approximately. I'll tell you. I'll tell you there is a way. If you know the one basic data, and then from that basic data you can guess all other data. But for that you must know what is the fiscal deficit. If you don't know the fiscal deficit, then it is going to be what? Then it is going to be very problematic for you. Very problematic for you to keep this data in your mind. Right? So one data you have to keep in your mind, and from that data you can derive all this data. So there is a way, but for that way you must understand what the basic concepts are there. Fine. So when I'll go to that part, I will let you know. So I hope this curve is clear. Why this curve is steeping here, upward sloping. So what takeaway is from here from this curve? Abhishek, separate PDF will be provided in the RB. Abhishek, for paid student, yes, it will be provided. For paid students, PDF will be provided. For non-paid students, they have to go through lectures only. So from this curve, because that is a lot of things I have mentioned here. So just mentioning you again. Output and employment. So what I have written here, you have to keep this thing in your mind in the classical theory, right? So we are discussing the classical theory part. Employment and output curve is upward sloping. Slope is upward, right? It is not down sloping curve, it is upward sloping curve. Then I wrote here, this point is very important to keep in your mind. Curve will show effect of diminishing rate of return. Curve will show the diminishing rate of return, right? So diminishing rate of return, then what will happen? Rate, I'm talking about the rate of increase. So the rate of increase is very high. The rate of increase here till then here, it is increasing rate. Then at when the diminishing rate impact will be there, then output, what I wrote here is output as employment increases first increases. So this is the phase of increasing rate of return. Then after this point, it is going to be decreasing rate. So till then here it is an increasing rate, then it is a decreasing rate. Okay, so this is the final point of classical theory of employment and output. This point is clear? Any doubt in this? Venkat, Abhishek, Varad, Yogesh. It is diminishing rate of return, not dominating rate of return. Diminishing rate of return means what? Diminishing rate of return means basically it is based on marginal utility. I explained in the last class also. Diminishing rate of return means what? Whenever we return means what we are getting, right? So when we say that diminishing rate of return is Yogesh, see, it's very simple. Diminishing rate of return is basically based on what? Utility, and it is based on basically marginal utility. Marginal utility means what? Utility for per unit increase in our consumption. So suppose that I have an appetite of 5 units, right? I have an appetite of 5 units. So I am going to consume first unit. I will get some satisfaction, but still I am hungry, so I need second unit. Then I will go for third unit. Then I will go for fourth unit. Then I will go for fifth unit, right? So I have an appetite of 5 unit. So what I'm asking is per unit satisfaction. So once you will going to consume the fifth unit, you are completely satisfied. So here your marginal satisfaction is going to be zero, and that is why you don't want to consume. But at the same time, at the fifth unit, your total utility is maximum, that is 5 unit. So I'm completely satisfied, so I don't want to consume any other thing. So that is my maximum satisfaction, whereas I want to consume more and more, right? So that's why I have increased my consumption. So the per unit satisfaction, it is going to be maximum here, right? Per unit satisfaction maximum here, but as I am going to increase my consumption, my total satisfaction, it is going to increase. Quantity and total satisfaction, that is total utility, is going to increase. And finally at the fifth unit it is going to be what? Max at fifth unit. Where is, if I am talking about per unit satisfaction kind of the thing, marginal utility, and here it is quantity. So when I have consumed the first unit, I have consumed the first unit, then I have started consuming further unit. So every time my total satisfaction is increasing, but per unit satisfaction is decreasing. Why? Because when I ate the first one, I still believe that I can eat four more, right? Four more. Then when I have eat second one, then I feel that I can eat three more, then two more, one more, and finally over. So after consuming first one, I believe that I can eat four more, then three more, then two more. So my need to eat more, my need to eat more is gradually decreasing. But at the same time, I am eating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So total consumption is increasing, but at the same time, my appetite to increase more number of unit, it is going to be decreasing as I am going to increase my consumption, right? So this is why marginal utility will decrease, and finally it will be zero at quantity of 5. So in this context, what they are saying regarding diminishing rate of return, if a particular production unit, this is a production unit, and in this production unit capital and technology is fixed or constant, fixed or constant for short run, fixed or constant for the short run, then what will happen? Then if we are going to increase our number of labors, our total productivity is going to increase, but the productivity of per labor, it is going to decrease. That is the diminishing. So this is why here the same effect is coming. Okay, I hope it is clear now. Is it clear? Okay, so we done with the classical theory. Now let's move to Keynesian theory of employment and output. So when we go to the Keynesian theory of employment and output, I can first draw a chart for you. See the contrasting difference between classicals and Keynes is what? They are more focused on production or supply part. So their theory evolved around production, and this theory was basically based on Say's law of market, that is supply can creates its own demand, right? So they are more emphasizing on what? They are more emphasizing on supply and production, whereas Keynesian theory is more focused on what? It is more focused on demand side. It is more focused on demand side, right? So when Keynes was explaining the demand side, for him demand is not just what we want to consume. He defined demand in terms of consumption demand and investment demand. So this is the side of what? This is the side of who will demand the investments? Who will demand the investments? Who need investments? My question is, who need investment? Individual need investments or industries need investment? As an individual, I will make investments in FDs, I will make investments in the saving accounts, I will make investments in the bonds, I will make investment in the shares. But who need those investments? Industries, right? Capitalists, very good. So capitalist industries need that investment, right? So here when Keynes was saying demand side, right? Demand side, so he is talking about demand, consumption demand, and he is also talking about investment demand. So when he is talking about consumption demands, he is focusing on whom? Consumers. He is focusing on consumers when he is talking about consumption demand. But when he is talking about investment demand, then he is focusing on whom? He is focusing on industries. He is focusing on industries. He is focusing on industries. This point is clear. Why he divided? Because see, he is focusing on demand side. When classicals were focusing on supply side, they are concerned with only this part. Classicals are concerned with this part only, right? They are concerned with this part only. But it was Keynes who make this both as a part of his study. He made both things in his model. They incorporated only investment needs of industrialists, right? Investments needs of industrialists, but it was Keynes who incorporated consumer demand also. So I hope when I'm saying demand function, when I'll say demand function for classicals, for classical economist, for classical economist, it is consumption only. It is consumption only. Why? Because they feel that apart from consumption, they feel that what is apart from consumption, that is savings. And savings is automatically equal to investments. This is their assumption. This is their assumption. But Keynes contradicted with this thing. He said that when the demand function, then demand function as per Keynes, demand function as per Keynes is two part. One is consumption demand and other is investment demand. Clear? Now, till then this point is clear. Now let's focus how means consumption. Our consumption depends upon what? Our consumption, first of all, it depends upon our income. Our consumption is depend upon our income, and apart from income, what is the other factor which is important? See, I am asking you, I have a question for you. I am asking your demand for goods and services. Your demand for goods and services is based on what? First is income. Second, what other thing? As a person, you have need of some goods and services. I need what? I told in the very first class also. I mean, I don't think the first class, but when I was explaining about difference between demand and desire, right? So I have a swift desire, but I want what? I want Rolls Royce Phantom Ghost, right? So that is my desire. So I can afford Rolls Royce Phantom Ghost only when my income is going to allow, right? Other question, other part, apart from income, what factors is important to consider my consumption? No, 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 not saving, not supply. Not saving, not supply. Just think about from Keynesian mindset. Hint is think from the Keynesian mindset. Keynes is not going to focus on savings and investment for consumption. He is going to be focused here when he is going to talk about the industrialists. Not getting. Acha. Suppose that my income Okay. So you got this point, income and propensity to consume. What is the propensity to consume and income? So our consumption is based on two things. Our consumption is based on two things. One is our income, other is our propensity to consume. Means income increases, we can increase our consumption, but at a point of time we will have a complete satisfaction with respect to that consumption, and we will stop purchasing more unit because that is going to satisfy our requirement. So consumption demand point is clear or not? Is it clear? Now, as a businessman or woman, before going for investment, before going for any investment, the first and most important thing you are going to consider how much interest rate I have to pay if I am going to do any investment. How much interest rate we have to pay for that investment, the first thing which I am going to consider. Second thing is marginal efficiency of capital. But time is not allowing to explain this part, so we will continue from here. From this diagram, we will continue in the next class. Okay? So goodbye for today. In the next class, it is going to be wind up. I will wind up this part, and you will get the PDF of this part also.